Dear content creator, have you ever felt like you had to fit into a certain beauty standard in order to be taken seriously online? I know I have. The pressure to always look polished, to have flawless skin, and to present a version of ourselves that is brand friendly can be exhausting. But let's be real, beauty isn't a one size fits all. And as content creators, we shouldn't feel the need to filter our realities in order to be seen as valuable. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. And so in today's episode, I want us to have an honest conversation about how beauty standards affect the way we show up online, and to also share my personal experience with battling seborrheic dermatitis, how it has affected my confidence as a content creator, and why I decided to apply for Sephora Squad Canada. Let's dive in. What up, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Dear Content Creator. I am your host, Karis Maggie. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode. As you can hear by the title and the intro, we are going to be talking about beauty standards. And I know it's kind of ironic that with this episode, if you're watching this on YouTube, I have a full face of makeup. I just came back from a brand shoot, didn't feel like I wanted to take it off just to put on my regular everyday makeup. And also, that is one of the reasons I wanted to still record this episode, even though I'm super tired from a brand shoot, because I said, you know what, we're going to be talking about beauty. It makes sense. Let us have this conversation, and for me to also share some of my personal experiences with how I feel like I have to show up in this space to be taken seriously, and just overall the whole concept of beauty standards. So if you are seeing the beat face, shout out to my girl Tiana, who always gets me correct for my brand shoots. This is not how I usually look. I don't know how to do these type of makeup looks by myself, but you know, she's cute. She's cute. But just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there. I know there's a bit of irony in it, but I think it's also fitting because part of me also wants to experiment with how this episode does, specifically on YouTube, to see if a theory I have is correct. So we'll see. I'll report back in another episode. But y'all, we need to talk about this conversation. I know there are bits and pieces of conversations that have been happening for a while now about beauty standards, how it affects content creators, how it can affect the opportunities you get, like the whole work. So I'm going to be breaking up this episode in segments as best as possible for me to stay on track. The first thing that I want to delve into is kind of briefly touching on beauty standards and the content creator space. So I would say that one thing I've noticed about the content creator, geez, I can't talk. One thing I've realized about the content creator space, and when certain opportunities come about, but also like even visibility, is that for people who tend to fit a certain beauty standard, the aesthetic, you know, the ambiguous looking person, like especially when we're talking about Black women, those who look a bit more ambiguous, the attention, the opportunities, the visibility, all of that is very different. And this is a conversation that I've had with even some fellow content creator friends. I remember I was having a conversation with one of my friends during our accountability session, and I told her, like, girl, like literally if my hair isn't done, I can't do a video. Like, and when I say done, I mean if I don't get it professionally done, where it's braided, or maybe I had to do a shoot, so I probably put on a nice wig and, you know, let them put me together real nice, whatever. Like, I can't feel comfortable to really show up and do videos, because personally, I do see the difference in the performance of my videos when I look more dolled up versus when I might just look regular, quote unquote. I'm putting that in quotes. But like, I don't want to feel like we are bugging when we are having these conversations, because there is a big difference that we do see, and there's a reason why a lot of us feel so pressured to continue to do these things. I mean, I just came back from a brand shoot, and not that I felt the need to have to do makeup, but for the kind of look and feel and everything that I was going for, my everyday makeup techniques and whatnot wasn't going to help with the whole shoot day that I had today. And so part of me did it for that reason, but also part of me also will usually prioritize having my makeup done when I have specific brand shoots, because I low key know that the way that people interact with my content is different when I am looking more dolled up. And I hate to admit it and like kind of say it out loud, but like that's just the reality. Like people like to look at attractive things, right? And for a lot of us, that's how we enhance our beauty. Like, don't get me wrong, I know that I'm a beautiful person, regardless of the things that I know I grew up hearing. I'm not that girl that would have, I recall growing up hearing things like I'm beautiful or whatever, unless it was like friends or family, sure. But like, you know how there are some people that they would just always hear from pretty much everybody how beautiful they are, etc. I can't relate. Like, I will definitely say that there are some experiences that I still carry into my adulthood. Like right now I'm 30, and there are things I can still remember that I heard growing up as a child, just from other kids and just people in general, that was just so mean, whether it was about my hair, whether it was about my complexion, just in general. I had to kind of build up that confidence for myself of thinking and knowing that I am beautiful versus getting that outside validation from people, because it's not something that I got frequently outside of family members and like close friends or whatever. So I feel like some of the decisions I do make with certain things that I do are affected by that. And the reality is just that as someone who does the content that I do, I already get trolls and mean comments from time to time, depending on the topics that I talk about. If I do decide to make content talking about, like, for example, I have a Haitian background, and sometimes I will do content that has to do with education around it or Creole languages, whatever the case might be. And the trolls always seem to come towards that content. That's the type of content for me that tends to always go viral. And it's just like people will also want to take the time to talk about my appearance versus whatever I'm talking about in the video. Like that's their way of kind of like attacking me. They can't attack the facts that I'm having in my videos, so they attack my appearance. And there's only so much someone can take. Like I already get that kind of harassment online, and it's so in the back of my mind, low key, it's like if there's anything I can do with my appearance where people can't really talk about my appearance and make me feel some type of way when I already feel nervous putting out certain type of content sometime, then I'm gonna do that. So that's kind of like where my thought process is. But outside of that, like when we're talking about beauty standard, it doesn't just stop at like complexion or you know, like that's like the main thing, the complexion. Like we know how colorism really works in this space. We see how it works in the music industry. It also flows over into content creation. Actors, actresses, like especially women, darker women, they don't get the same opportunity that lighter skinned black women would also get, and they are just as good or work just as hard. Like it's little nuances like that for sure. But another thing too is like even hair. I kind of touched on this a little bit in the beginning, but also it shared my experience of things that I would grow up hearing about myself. Like my hair is not something that I also get a lot of compliments on, like my natural hair. You see right now my hair is done like this with a braided style. Like yes, with no problems. I will get compliments. And that's why in that conversation I was having with that friend, and I told her like, yeah, like if my hair isn't done, like I feel like my confidence, my motivation to record is just not there. From time to time, I will have my own natural hair, but it's not always gonna be fully my natural hair. I might always add on my maybe like a hair piece or something. So if I have my hair up in a bun, I might put on an attachment just to give my hair more volume, because it's one of two things when it comes on to hair. You get praised for your hair if it is that super curly, bouncy type hair. So when we're talking about textures, right? Or if you're someone who has hair that is like more forcey, like I don't know if people typically do hair typing. The easiest way for me to describe those of us with like tighter coils and coarser looking hair. The only time we really get praised for our hair is when it's long or full. So if you're someone who can like have that very big voluptuous looking afro type hair, your hair will get praised versus someone who probably has shorter hair, shorter volume. And that's me. I know that myself. When it comes down to like my hair, I have a lot of shrinkage, and like even when it's blown out or whatever, like it's not going to be anything like super out there. So I'll add hair pieces from time to time to help enhance whatever hairstyle I'm going for. And I feel like sometimes I shouldn't have to do that, but it's like it's that pressure of feeling like I need to, because people will find other things to criticize about you. And it's like, it's already bad enough putting yourself out there, doing the content that you do. But also at the end of the day, sometimes I have to remind myself that it doesn't matter what I do. Sometimes if people want to be mean, they will be mean. But I guess for me, it's about, if there's anything I can do to kind of lessen the opportunities for people to find something to nitpick about my appearance, I'm going to do that. And then there are other things, when we talk about beauty, it also trickles down to like size and who has a booty versus who doesn't have a booty, and just all them something there, like your shape, and the list goes on. And so if you are listening to this or if you're watching it, I would love for you to leave a comment and let me know what you think your definition of beauty standards is. A lot of what a lot of us grew up being told is beauty standards has to do with very Eurocentric features, smaller nose, smaller lips, like whatever. And then it's really ironic because people are getting surgeries to have lips like mine or have the butts of women that they once ridiculed. It's interesting. But for the longest, I thought that only beauty creators would have to go through this, but I don't know if I'm the only one who notices this, but there are some creators that they don't have to do a lot for them to get the visibility just because they are pleasing to look at. They're good to look at. I don't know if that's gonna come off any kind of way, but y'all know exactly what I mean. There are just some people that there's not that much effort they have to put into their content, but they are just really great to look at, really attractive people. And so that alone sometimes can carry them and push their career in this space, especially. The other thing, or the flip side, I should say, is there are some of us that we know that we can't lead with quote unquote beauty because of what the standards have been set for that. And so what we have to lead with is being extra. So example, having to be more loud or more extra with our content, like very animated. Or for some people, like we just have to be more entertaining, more everything. Like that thing about having to work twice as hard, that was not like, that was facts. We have to work twice as hard in everything just for people to see us, to feel like what we have to say and the platform we're trying to build matters for people by doing more and doing the most sometimes. And I've noticed this with a lot of other creators that I watch. If they're not someone who's super into makeup, or they are not going to have a face beat or hair laid, all of that all the time, they usually have to lead with like comedy, being entertaining or being educational. Yeah, that's what I've noticed. So even outside of those creators who do content related to beauty or who are in the beauty space, that pressure can be there depending on the type of content that you do, but there is some leeway depending on what content that you do as well. So if people are just looking to be entertained, they don't really care about how you look or how you present yourself. They just want to be entertained. And then there's some people that they have the best of both worlds because they're entertaining people, but then they also have that they fit into the mold of the beauty standards. Anyways, I don't want to ramble anymore, y'all. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I think y'all kind of get my drift. And I wish I could like talk about examples, but I also don't want to like pinpoint any specific person either, because I feel like a lot of us already have an idea of someone in our mind that we can think of when I talk about who usually fits the molds for beauty standards and what they think is like worthy of attention and visibility. Like the algorithm does it itself. And I've seen this for myself too. I have seen people who do the same content as someone else, and what they have over the person, I would say, is like the aesthetics. Like they fit that beauty standard that a lot of people, they don't even have to care about what the video is about. It's just that this person is really attractive looking, that it stops them in their scroll, because everyone is like kind of doom scrolling, and that person gets the time of day. And we don't even have to mention how it is for men. Like men, if they're attractive looking, you know, them find them way through this industry as well. In terms of looks. Now I kind of want to segue to talk about my experience with battling seborrheic dermatitis. I hope I'm even pronouncing it properly. But if you don't know what it is a severe scalp condition that involves a lot of flaking, a lot of scalp inflammation, and just irritation overall. And it can be very embarrassing. This is something I've been battling on and off for the past, I would say, 3 years now, maybe 4. And it got to the point where it just got so embarrassing. So like I could just literally just do this and there's just flakes coming out of my hair. It made me feel dirty, like I didn't wash my hair, even though I did. And when I try to seek out professional help, I'm asking questions like, is it my diet? Do I need to change something with my diet? And like what I'm being told basically is like, no, this is just something that happens from time to time. And you just have to use things to treat it because there's no cure. And that made me feel defeated, because I just feel like for something that just seemed like it happened overnight to me, this is not something that I had a couple years ago. Why all of a sudden do I suddenly have it, and it's kind of getting out of control right now? Like this year, like the beginning of this year is the start of when I've seen it gotten so bad that I cry, like I literally cry myself to sleep sometimes, because I get so frustrated with my hair. It's like the options for hairstyles that I can put in my hair is limited, because I don't want to waste my money to put in a hairstyle just for me to have to take it out a week later, because my scalp is flaking so much and there's no type of washing and all of that in the world that I can do to make it look better, or to make them not be visible, because they're just going to be there continuously growing and doing their thing. So that has currently like been my journey. For a brief moment, I felt like I had it under control. I got married a couple years ago, like a year ago, you could say. And I worked so hard for that entire year just for me to be able to have my condition under control so that I could wear braids for my wedding, because I didn't want to wear a wig. Because look at it this way, guys. Yeah, I have the wig in. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not somebody who know how to maintain wigs like that. So I'm going to go for my wedding, and right after I know I want to have my honeymoon. I don't want to have to be worrying about if the wig get wet and all of this thing. Let me not have to worry about none of that. I'm on a vacation mindset at that moment. Give me the braids. Give me the peace of mind. I'm gonna go about my business. So luckily I was able to do braided hairstyle for my wedding, and it looked so beautiful. I wish I could like insert clips, but it's a podcast, so y'all not really watching podcasts for sick clips and whatever. Like this not a YouTube like regular video, but maybe I will put in a little clips here and there. So yeah, like it looks so pretty. I felt so beautiful. My hair was good. My hair was fine. I wasn't having those issues until I came back to Canada. So I had my wedding in Jamaica. I came back to Canada, and the winter is when I feel like it usually gets worse. And now that I've been studying kind of like the progression of how my flare up start, it's always winter. Always winter. This year is probably the worst it has ever been, and it brings so much shame and embarrassment, and it's just like even feeling of defeat. I'm just like, wow, like what can I do for this hair of mine? What can I do for this scalp of mine? It's just not a happy scalp. It's not a happy scalp. So I'm currently on my own journey of trying to find treatments that work for me. Yes, I've gone to the dermatologist and they tell me all sorts of different things. Some of the things that I've been advised to use is like steroid based like treatment, which I personally want to stay clear from, because in my mind I'm thinking with steroids, after the dosage is not working anymore, you're gonna have to up the dosage. After I don't use the thing anymore, I like it just gets worse from how it was before. Like that's what I've heard from other people's experience, and kind of like I'm trying to stay clear away from anything that has to do with steroids. So I'm looking at ways to look at my diet, because I 100% believe that it is what I am eating here in Canada. The food is different. When I am eating food in Jamaica versus when I'm here in Canada, the same foods, I feel different. When I eat rice, I feel very different from when I eat rice in Canada. No joke thing, like everything just different. So part of my journey is also I want to go to a neuropath to kind of get some advice there when it comes on to diet. Maybe there are some things I can change in my diet. So maybe there are things that when I'm in Jamaica I can eat, but unfortunately when I'm here in Canada, those things I have to stay clear from. If that's the case, that's what I'm gonna have to do. So I already thought of things, because this specific scalp condition, it is fed because of the overproduction of like what is it, like yeast is being fed pretty much, right? So I try to avoid bread, even rice. I'm trying to eat less and less rice if I can, which is a struggle because I love rice. And if you're a Caribbean somebody, you love your rice. So these are little things that I'm making the step to kind of like do. But for a while, I also thought that I was alone, that this was only something that I was experiencing. And it wasn't until I shared a few videos from my journey and just this whole battling scalp issue. And I shared it with my online community, specifically on Instagram. And I had so many people who reached out to me, DMing me, sharing their own experience too, the struggles they have experienced, some things they have been trying, and just overall their frustration as well. And it made me realize that this is something that collectively so many women, especially Black women, because when I go on like TikTok and I'm trying to find answers to, so many Black women have the same scalp issue. And it's like, you're telling me that there isn't anybody in this world that knows of a treatment for this thing that so many women seem to have? I don't know, y'all, but after a while, I just had to accept this condition that I currently have, and I'm just doing my best right now to fix it. My scalp is doing pretty good today. I did get my hair done a few days ago, and so I don't really see the production of the flakes as quickly as I used to before. So I'm kind of, observing it a bit to see what are some of the things that I might have did differently. Maybe it's the weather changing. We're currently like feeling like we're going into spring at this point, because winter seems to be finally saying goodbye. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that's the case, because I don't like that we always get excited and then winter just kind of like comes back out of nowhere when we're trying to get into spring. So I'm going to continue to like observe it, see how my scalp does, especially during spring to like fall, and see if winter is really the culprit for like when it really flares up. So that's currently been my experience. So I kind of want to segue into why I decided to apply for Sephora Squad Canada. Now, this is the very first Sephora Squad Canada that has rolled out. All the other years that I've heard about Sephora Squad, it's mainly been, I would say, open to the US. Like in general, it might have been open to like the UK and Canada and USA. I don't know what other countries, but for the most part, it was often US creators who would be prioritized from my observation. And from what I remember about the application as well, it was very specific to beauty creators. But there was something very different about this rollout of Sephora Squad Canada. The call to action was very much calling for any and every creator. Once there's some aspect of beauty that resonates with you, you can apply. That's the feel of it. And then when I looked at the application myself, so at first I even told some of my friends, I'm like, listen, I'm not so delusional to even put myself into applying for this thing when I know I don't do beauty content at all. Like, why would I apply for this? And after giving it some thought, I decided to just take a look at the application, just see what they're asking. It was a very short application, about 10 minutes long. And some of the questions, when I looked at it, it was very general and just, it seemed like it was trying to really get to understand and know the creator who was applying. The only question that was probably like very specific to maybe like beauty was the very last question that they asked, which mainly had to do with why did you apply, basically. And of course, your answer would need to be related back to the mission and vision that Sephora Canada itself has. And beyond beauty products, I feel like promoting or redefining what beauty means and why it matters is one of the reasons I decided to apply. I already talked to you guys about my scalp condition and how I felt so alone in this journey, but knowing there are other people out there who have had the same experience, part of me kind of wants to like bring more awareness to it, because as a creator, it has affected so much of how I see myself, how I value myself. And I don't want to feel like that because of something I literally have no control over. I am hoping that I can eventually find a solution. And if an opportunity like this, that if I get it, allows me to get on that path to find a solution, then that would be amazing, of course. But I also just want to be able to embrace the full skin that I'm in, all of my imperfections. Like, as I said, beauty is not a one size fits all. I think there are many seasons I've been in when it comes on to defining what beauty is. At one point, I had one definition for it, and at another point, there was another definition. And I think right now, my definition for beauty is being your authentic self, showing up as very unapologetic in all of your life experiences, and showing your joy. Anyone who knows my content know that in anything that I share, joy is always going to be at the center. I love to laugh. I love to make people laugh. I just love to put out good vibes out there whenever I do my content and show my personality, let my personality shine through. But yeah, like based on what I understand about Sephora, and part of their movement, and things that they're trying to do, that resonated with me, and I said, I'm just gonna put my hat in. When I looked at the application, I saw different categories. There was like makeup, skincare, sustainability products, or something to that effect. And there was also hair and styling, which, hello, hair and styling. Like, that is like something that I care so much about, because I'm always looking for ways to care for my hair, styling in a way that doesn't compromise my scalp issues. Like, even like with this hairstyle that I have, the person who did my hair was very intentional to like not put gel in my hair, even though gel is so common to be used in doing styles like this, because you want it to look super neat and sleek and whatever. But at times you might have a situation like myself where all of that extra stuff you just won't be able to use in your hair, and that's completely fine. My hair doesn't have to be laid down with baby hair and all of that for it to look nice. At the end of the day, there are things I can do to my hair while still caring for my scalp without compromising it, and still feel and look beautiful in the way that I want to look and feel. So I'm hoping that whatever I decide to share, because I did make a post basically to share why I applied for it. And I feel like I should read one of the captions that I wrote for it. Basically, what I said is that when it came on to beauty, I felt like it always had a specific aesthetic that I personally didn't see myself fitting into. I personally have felt the pressure of showing up in a certain type of way, especially when it comes on to like my hair. And as someone who's currently been battling this scalp issue, I I pretty much just want to be able to find a solution for it and hope that I can bring more awareness to it and help other women who are like experiencing the same issue. Something along those lines is what I had put in my application. But I'm going to link also my post that I made, because when you apply, you also have the option to download the social media like asset for you to share to let people know that you applied for it. And right now, those of us who applied are just waiting for the next steps. But part of me felt a bit like guilty for taking up space, because it was like, shouldn't this just be something for beauty creators that have been working so hard to be visible? Back to that word again. But when I looked at the application, I was like, you know what? This is very seeming like they're trying to tap into other audiences beyond those who are beauty creators. And for that reason, I'm going to throw my hat in, because here's the reality for me. I'm always on camera. I always feel pressure to put myself together and look polished and all of that in a specific type of way. And whenever I have specific videos or brand shoot, I'm always having to use different type of beauty products and all of that on my face, and then doing the aftercare for my skin to prep me for another like brand shoot or whatever. So even though I'm not a beauty creator, every day I am experiencing different aspects of beauty, whether it has to do with skincare, whether it has to do with makeup or hair. As a whole, as a creator, those things matter to me, and I don't have to be a beauty creator for me to talk about beauty and what it means to me. And I think that's why I also wanted to do this podcast episode. And I hope that I did a great job of articulating my thoughts. It can be a bit hard to express some of the thoughts I have in my head. It's been a long day, and some of what I want to say is a bit jumbled up here. But I really do hope that whoever listened to this episode, you did get the insights from it. And I also hope that for all of the creators who applied for this, I truly hope that if this is an opportunity that is truly a desire for you, that you will get your heart's desire. I know it's only 10 people, but I really hope that even if they're just picking 10 people for this, that through the applications that they got that came in, it opens up opportunities for other people to work with brands, to show their insights and their expertise. Because when we're talking about beauty, there are all kinds of people in this space who are helping to bring attention to different topics and talking about things that many of us probably didn't feel like we had enough information for. So I am truly rooting for everyone who applied for this. And I hope that if you didn't apply, by the time that this episode probably comes out, the deadline would have already passed. But I really am hoping that for everyone who applied, that there's something that comes out of this for them at the end of the day. That's my true hope. And if I'm one of those people, glory be to God. If I'm not, I was just happy to be able to share my story in an authentic way with my audience. And hopefully this also kind of gave me an additional push to find ways to talk more about this topic in a way that makes sense for me and the content that I do, because I don't do hair content. I'm not trying to have my page be all about hair either, but I feel like from time to time there can be ways for me to integrate this type of topic and sharing my journey in that authentic way that I did with that post. So y'all, it has been a while since we did a Dear Future Me segment, so back with another segment of Dear Future Me. Now, if you're new to this podcast, the Dear Future Me segment is basically a reflection at the end of the episode. Sometimes I might do one, sometimes I might not. But for this episode, I feel like it definitely deserves a reflection ending off the episode type of thing. So I basically write a letter to my future self, and as an exercise for myself, I also encourage you to use it as an exercise for yourself to do this with me as well. So write a letter to your future self. So, dear future me, I hope by now you fully embrace that beauty isn't about perfection. It's about presence. I hope you continue to show up even when you feel insecure, even when your skin isn't picture perfect, even when the industry tries to tell you otherwise. Because somewhere out there, there's a creator who sees themselves in you. And by showing up as you are, you're giving them permission to do the same. So keep going, keep challenging beauty standards, keep making space for real, unfiltered stories, because that's where the real beauty is. Y'all, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Dear Content Creator. I really hope that you got something from all of the rambling that I did. And if you have ever felt like the pressures that I'm talking about, I would love for us to have a conversation. Either comment here on YouTube if you're watching. I think I can do a poll on Spotify, but you can also, by the way, if you didn't know, you can leave a comment on Spotify now that is on the episode that you're listening to. So leave me a comment over there as well. And don't forget to rate the podcast if you're enjoying it. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, anywhere that you stream your platform. Anywhere you stream your podcast, we are there. So leave us a review. Let us know what you think. And I will see y'all in another episode. Bye, y'all.